is half the battle, right? You got to figure it out. So I'll give you some time. I usually do some announcements in the beginning just to let you know what's going on, uh, performances and different things. I actually just got a message. We're going to be doing some teaching and outreach in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'll be teaching at one of the schools there, um, like 1:30 to 2:30, Baton Rouge High or something. I'm not sure if it's Baton Rouge High, but I'll know. I just have to get that information as I get it. But this will be the 8th, that Tuesday. And then I also do a podcast for the series that they do for the Baton Rouge Arts Council with Mike Esnault. I think he said 3:30 or so. So I'll be on there. We'll talk about uh, my life journey and also, how it was uh, working and being taught by Mr. Alvin Baptiste. We'll play some tunes and different things like that. So it should be cool. I guess it's appropriate. I have the clarinet in my hand. Now, I'm nowhere near ready to present. I can play a few things. I've been shedding. So I've been practicing my scales, arpeggios. So I don't have it together. The hardest thing is going over the break because it's different fingering up here. But anyway, this is not a shed session where I'm going to be practicing the clarinet, but I just thought it'd be appropriate because my teacher back in college, Alvin Baptiste, was a phenomenal clarinetist. So, also, what are we doing? We're doing our performance that we had coming up was supposed to be at Manship, but it's going to be in a different room. It's going to be actually in the Hartley Vay Studio Theater. So that's where it's going to be. And tickets and everything available. Look for Manship Baton Rouge. I need to get that information for you if I'm announce it, you know. But it's actually happening on the 9th. So I'll be performing there on the 9th. Also, coming up, like I always say, the Jazz Wine Train series is going to be in Grapevine. So the 28th, the 4th, and the 11th, they're going to be doing that. We'll be playing on the platform and splitting up to a car and going from Grapevine into Fort Worth, and we'll be playing. So if you want to find out information about that, just look it up, Jazz Wine Train. So thank you so much. We're excited about this new series. I'm excited to be able to share with you on a daily basis. And you never know what type of challenges you may face, but you have to roll with the punches and keep moving forward. I actually had stuff pulled up, and then something happened to where it messed up my information. So, but I know it. I know what I want to focus on. So, I woke up this morning. I was thinking about uh, my business. Right. I was thinking about conversations with my mentees, and so this whole idea of knowledge, right? So, and what we're thinking about is like ourselves. We want to make progress. We want to implement or actually know what to implement into what we're doing, so we can be able to hit our target or reach a goal. But the problem that I'm realizing with people is they don't know. A lot of times you can have a vague type of perspective of what you want to do, but really when it comes to the detail, you don't really know what it takes. And so that's why I was thinking about knowing is half the battle. And if you think about this, you think about this, like we think 50, I heard it said 30 to 50,000 thoughts a day, right? And so if you are just mindful of all the internal conversations that we have inside our head, but then you have the reality that you live in, and then you have a routine of things that you have to do, stuff that you just have to do that we just, you know, whether if you're a teacher and you teach at a school, you know, you got to get up early, prepare to get off to work, and then, you know, your hours, if you are working a job, you know, are designated to have to do those things, right? But then there's those desires of your heart and goals that you want to accomplish that when you get off work and you get home, you don't feel like doing extra work, or you might have to prepare dinner or get something to eat or just chill. So you have like these little pockets of time where we use that a lot of times to chill, or we'll look at social media, you know, look at reels or whatever in our downtime. And then we'll just kind of chill because we've exhausted our brain power and energy at our job. And so we might find ourselves not in ideal situations or circumstances, whether it be financially or whether it be just the type of work that we're doing, we feel unfulfilled or incomplete. So all of those things bother you, but you're constantly in a routine from day to day. You're still having to do what you have to do because you got to pay bills, and then you have obligations and things that's already in motion. Whereas in your spirit, in your heart, you know that this routine or the way that we're going about things is just not the end game that I want. And the thing I thought about today, the scripture was that came to mind. Well, actually, that was today's. That came to me was Jeremiah 29:11. You know, for I know the thoughts that I have towards you, for you to have a hope, you know, and have an expected end. I'm kind of messing it up, but the thing about it, like God and what He desires for us and what He sees, we need to know. We need to be aware of that, and we have to have the faith and the motivation to want to do whatever we need to do so that we can line up with that hope. We can line up with what He expects. And so in order to do that, it requires for us to do the work. And it goes back to what I was saying about faith. And, you know, we know, I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know why this messed me up this morning, but I have to, I got to keep showing up. But anyway, you have to allow your work, your work needs to show as a result of your faith. It needs to line up with the faith that you have. Sometimes we will hear things, motivational messages, or the word preached, or somebody will make a good suggestion of something that we need to do, but we don't implement it or we don't move on it. And so what ends up happening is we're not able to benefit from we're not able to benefit from the information that we receive or truth. And so I heard another thing, somebody was talking about truth, like true. It's something, the difference between true, something that is true, is temporal, is temporary. Like it's true that I'm here, you know, in this room at this particular time, but in an hour I might not be here anymore. You know what I'm saying? Or after a couple hours I'll be in a different location. But the thing about truth is something that doesn't change. Where the whole idea is when you can be made aware of truth, something that doesn't change, that will work, principles that will work regardless of who you are. If you got good sense, if you're white, you're black, you're Asian, you're Puerto Rican, whatever, like if you got challenges or not, like there's certain truth that you can tap into and be apply, and so it will work for you, and the benefits will, you'll be able to benefit from the truth that you're able to tap into. And so that's the thing. Even like with me doing this stream and being consistent every day, it's like even showing up every day, or even like I was talking to my mouthpiece manufacturer, Mr. Bain. He was telling me, he's a master clarinet player. He was telling me, just hit it 15 minutes in the morning, 15, 20 minutes throughout the day or at night. And as long as you're consistent, you'll be better, And so that's the thing about it. And I always say that people look at some of the things that I've done over the years, and they admire me because of my progress and the things that I've done. But I think it's just because I've been driven since a kid, and I'm really good with implementing things. And sometimes it can be, I guess, from the outside looking in, I don't know, it's a perspective that you have that I don't have of how I present stuff. Or let's say, I mean, this is even true when you're playing, right? Because we're always, especially when you're practicing, you're always in a state of learning and growing. Like when you're learning and you're challenging yourself, like you change your brain chemistry. You change it because once you discover something new, then you learn that how much you don't know about that particular thing that you learned new. And so the thing that's true on the instrument, on the clarinet, the bottom register, the fingering is kind of like the saxophone. But the difference is when I get up here to the top, I have to raise my pointer finger, and the C, which I'm calling C, is basically the thumb on the back. So this is a new instrument. I mean, it's a new fingering configuration than what I use. So even the bottom, what I call C, is not C. I think that's E flat, right? That's E flat concert. Yeah, it's E flat concert. But anyway, what I'm saying is, because I started practicing the clarinet, I started discovering how much I was incompetent. And so, but the thing about it, my discovering what I'm incompetent or how I'm incompetent motivates me to know and learn more. And you learn more through practicing. You learn more through doing. It's one thing to have a hypothesis, right? Or basically you're drawing a conclusion, or you're making your judgment or conclusion based on speculation or what you're assuming before you've actually tried it or experimented to get results. And so uh, we do this. We talk ourselves out of stuff because we say that we don't have time, or we say it's too hard, or we'll make excuses. And those excuses give us permission to stay stagnant. Those excuses will give us excuses to say, oh, it's too hard, or I don't have the skill, or I don't have the ability, or I'm just not knowledgeable, or I'm not a genius, or I'm not like you, or whatever. And so we'll make all of these excuses when that's all it is excuses. And the thing about it, you miss out from the benefit of just trying, because when you try, you have results. Like, and I remember when I was doing real estate, I actually got into real estate investing. And so I did a class, and the guy told me, he was like my coach. Sorry, y'all. But he was my real estate coach. And he said, it's like taking swings. You know, when you're a baseball player, he was like, you know, when the pitcher throws, you cannot swing, and of course you get a strike. You know, if you keep throwing and you don't swing, you'll strike out. But if you throw and you swing, you can hit it. You hit it, and what could happen is it could be a foul. You could go out of bounds, or you can hit it, and then the opposing team catches it. You know, and or you can hit it and then get a first base. You can hit it and get a home run. But the thing about it, if you don't swing, there's no results. But if you keep swinging, you'll keep getting results, different type of results. And so that's what he was telling me. Even when you go about at the time wholesaling and getting deals. And so at the time I was connected with other wholesalers and investment groups, and so they were always throwing deals my way, different properties to fix and flip and stuff like that. And one came through. I looked at it, and I went out and saw the property, and I didn't even have a quick close. I went to the office and closed conventionally on a rental property, a duplex. And so, but the thing about it, I swung. I took a chance. I went out there, and I showed up, and I got the deal. I got some results, you know. And so it's not based on your background. It's not based on even your knowledge. It's all about your faith and your willingness to take action. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, I was even telling somebody else I was talking to, you got people who are educated, got good sense, I mean, great judgment, character, and all of that, but they won't move forward. It's just so hard for them to actually share. I'm saying, like, for instance, with content creation. So right now, you probably heard content is king. So if you are a business person, or you have some type of opportunity, or you're a leader and you have a message, you have a following, the way to grow an audience now is you definitely have to have a list. You have to have, use social media. You got to be consistent. And so people who are very much so qualified, who have a message and have something to share that would be a blessing to a community of people, they're not sharing, or they will make excuses of where it's like, man, I don't know what to do, or I don't know how to do it. The thing about it, you got people who don't have a tenth of the knowledge and the wisdom, but they're just going forth. And I've seen it. I've been in these schools, these communities, and these young folks in their 20s, they're posting on TikTok and they're making like crazy money just because they're just doing it. They're not as wise as, I guess, in the sense of experience and all of that in terms of living, but it's that they jump on top of an opportunity and they went without even having all the knowledge. So that's why I say, like, doing is the other half. Like, you can have knowledge, and the scripture is James 1:22, where it talk about hearing. Be ye hearers of the word, uh, but be ye doers. You got to be a doer of the word, and not a hearer only. So when you're just consuming content on YouTube, or you're consuming content on Instagram or wherever, you'll be watching all of that stuff, taking it in, getting all these different perspectives, and then you're not moving on it, you're not acting on it. And so that can be a problem. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can have system overload where you're taking in too much information and it's paralyzing you and you're confused. You don't know where to start and how to go about it. And this is where you need to take the time to choose who you're going to follow. Choose a leader and then connect with that leader and let them mentor you. So this goes into my sound musician mentorship program. And that's what I do. We meet twice a week, sometimes more, just depends. And so we'll go over the jazz improvisation things to help develop your vocabulary. Last night we went over how to play over a worship song in addition to how to play over rhythm changes. So I was just expressing how to play over the different contexts and what's needed in order to express yourself in those different mediums. We talked about that last night. And so also we talk about music business, and we'll go over strategies and different things, what we're doing, and help have some accountability around what we're working on. So mentorship and community are the components needed to help you follow through. I don't know. I need to turn this off. Let me see. But it'll help you follow through on the things that you know that you need to do. Because where did I get? I be getting all these nuggets and all these things, and I have to keep good. I have to keep up with where I get it from. So there was something that was actually scientific. I'm gonna turn. How do I do that? I got this new phone and it just keeps ringing. I'm gonna have to turn my notifications off. Oh, you know what? I can put it on airplane mode. That's what I do. Yeah, I put it on airplane mode, so that should do. And I put on do not disturb. There you go. All right, cool. So, yeah, that threw me off. What was I saying? Let me look at the chat. Y'all all right? Because I totally got knocked off. Let me look at the chat. What up, RPJ? What you said about using up your mental energy throughout the day and not having any left for your music when you get home. I've been there too many times. Okay. I wouldn't say incompetence as much as ignorant. Okay. Yep, ignorance. That's true. Ignorance just means one doesn't know how competent. Wasn't One doesn't know how competent we are about our craft will often reveal to us how ignorant we are about our craft. Okay. All right. let's see, excuses gives us permission to submit to mediocrity. Yep, that's right. People are getting nuggets from this. I'm sorry, y'all, that threw me off. The notifications, the distractions. And that's a prime example right there. That's a real life example. You got to turn your phone off, turn off notifications so that you can focus on what you need to do. But what was I talking about? I was kind of flowing there, and then I got distracted by all those notifications. But what was I saying? Do y'all remember? Let me see here. I lost my. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I was, I was just talking about how when you're actually when you're trying to I don't remember what I was talking about, y'all. Y'all got to help me out because the distractions, those notifications, got me. So uh, when you're working on implementing, let me get back to this. So when you're trying to implement the things, when you're trying to implement some new things that you hear, um, you have to be. We're talking about doing, right? We're talking about not just being a hearer. When you got so many distractions, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about being a part of a community. Okay, so you actually make a decision, right? You make a decision, and when you make a decision, you have to focus on following through with that decision. Uh, Choices, when you're presented with so much information, you got so many choices and so many options. But the thing about it, you have to make a decision, and once you choose that, it's kind of like an application, right, on your desktop. We have different applications, but when you're ready to work on a particular thing, you will click on that icon, and boom, that icon and everything that's in it, in that program, is what you are focusing on, and you're able to work and make progress. So it's a trip how our computer and the way we're used to operating through the external device is really, it comes from how we should operate in our mind. And even when we're wanting to follow through with something that we know we need to do. And so I have been really strong and really seeing the value of deciding, making a decision. So choices and making a decision. You can choose what doctrine you want to follow. You can choose what philosophies you want to follow. And it can all be based on what you want. But truth, like I said, truth is unchanging. You can do what you want, and it can be true for a temporary time, but then later it'll change because it's not something that is rooted in something that is unchangeable. So you can decide how and what you want to do based on how you feel, and it'll always be fluctuating and changing. But when you make a decision to follow through or to do something that you know that's rooted in truth, and I'm talking about something that you desire. Like, these are things that you feel that is your life's purpose. This is like a passion that's connected to your destiny, or it's connected to, like I say, your purpose and everything. So stuff like that is a choice that you have to make. It's a personal thing, like what I was talking about yesterday, you know. So that's stuff that nobody else can make you do. It's something that you have to choose. And so there's principles in place. This is what I'm saying. There's principles in place if you will be made aware of them, that you get from even when you look at what happened even with Jesus. What Jesus did, he had a message. He had a purpose. He came from another realm, another world, into the physical world, and he was doing things that was not of this world, from his teaching to the miracles and signs and wonders and everything. And so he went and he picked people. He said, hey, come follow me. And so they followed him. They learned from his example. They listened to him, his teaching and everything. And then from there, once he was finished, completed his mission, suffered, died on the cross, rose from the dead. Then he ascended to be with the Father. And he said, also wait, the Holy Spirit I'm going to send back to you. And then that'll be with you to lead you and guide you in all the truth. So that's what Jesus did. That was his mission. But look at the principles there. You have a man who had some ways. He was God in the flesh. But I'm saying man because this can be something that we duplicate or replicate. You have a message. You have a method. You have a insight or wisdom that you've gained from your experience doing whatever it is that you do. You become a leader, a mentor. You select people who will then study with you so that they can get the understanding, the mindset, the wisdom that can be imparted into them. And then they then become leaders, and they go out and they make disciples, or they go out and they have teachers. They teach students and they train. So this is the principle. So this can be applied to anything from a spiritual standpoint or even business, a musician or someone who wants to learn carpentry or, whatever it is. The principle is still there. Whereas you got all the noise and your own life of confusion and you just don't know because there's too many options, there's too many choices, you don't know. So what'll happen is God will put something or somebody in your life, and you'll hear about their reputation, or you'll see stuff that they've done. You'll admire their work, and then you have to make a decision. Like, this person is really cool, or he's really deep, or they have the insight, and I really connect with them, so I'm going to follow them. I want to become their mentee, or I want to become their student. And so out of that, you are able to go through the same process that disciples went through. And even like what I did, like I was telling you about the real estate, there's a model of principles, a model of principles that people are applying that is helping them to grow as businessmen, as musicians, as whatever the industry. You can't ever get away from how God created us and his system and his principles that are available to anybody, whether you're a believer or not. A lot of times people are not even aware of who they are and how God created, is responsible for everything in terms of the way they function, because we're created in the image and likeness of God. So, but the thing about it, these principles are being applied, which are truth, and so they will work for you. So if you're not aware of the truth, then you can't, you don't know. If you're not aware of the truth, then you will have a lot of question marks. You'll go through trial and error trying to figure things out based on you just going about doing things by yourself. And so there's just certain things, principles that really help you speed the process up. So for instance, like parents, right? Having a father and a mother in the home, and what you get from having, an example, a male figure and a mother figure that's the nurturing one, and the dad who is the one that, works, provides, protects, instills wisdom in you. When you're getting that from a kid, a child, and you just notice your peers who didn't have a father and mother in the home, or who might have had a dysfunctional situation, there are certain struggles that those different kids and experiences are going to be reflected in the lives of that kid. You know what I'm saying? And so I've seen it. Of course, y'all have seen it, and I think about my own experiences. But the principle of that is when you have leadership, and when you can submit to leadership and watch and learn from being in the environment of a leader, then when you get out, you got a firmer foundation, and it kind of puts you ahead of the game. So even when I was younger and I had a saxophone teacher when I was in high school, I didn't realize the progress that I was able to make until later in hindsight. It's one thing when you're already, gifted. And so when you get a teacher who can help you direct that giftedness, you can actually make a lot of progress in a short amount of time, because you got somebody that can kind of, lead you a certain way. I'll give you another example. I had a friend of mine. He's somewhat of a musician. He's an engineer, but he's always been a songwriter. And so he had a kid, and so he was always playing music for his kid. And so he would give him GarageBand, and he'd just be playing with it and making tracks and stuff like that. And so he called me one day. He's like, "Man, come on, man. Can you help me? My son is saying stuff. I don't even understand what he's saying, but he knows these notes." And so I was like, yeah. So he put him on the phone, and I played something. He said, "Yeah, that's a C." And I played a chord. He said, "That's an A flat minor." And I played another chord. "Oh, yeah, that's D augmented with the flat 7." He was very specific. So he had perfect pitch, but he knew the chords. And I'm like, goodness gracious, bro. It's like, man, you got a prodigy. Because he was saying stuff that was even going over his dad's head. He didn't understand because he wasn't like that deep of a musician. But he as a father, provided him with the tools, and just to a certain degree, he just couldn't take him any further, because his knowledge had kind of exceeded, the knowledge that he had. So he had to reach out to me for me to kind of help make sense of how he was processing, the stuff that he was hearing as a musician. And so, but it's just amazing, the mind, the brain, and how if you got somebody who's already gifted, and then they have the structure, they got the mentorship, the leadership, then man, it can really push you ahead farther, faster, and you can avoid all of the riffraff or all of the bad teaching and the paths to go down when you got somebody who's a mentor. But that's a long explanation. I guess it all ties into doing, because I'm trying to help people understand what would assist you in doing. Because when you're by yourself, here's the whole point, and this is a principle too. When you're isolated, when you're by yourself, you stand stuck in your own head, then that's when the enemy can deceive you. So there's protection in community. Like they say in the Bible, it talks about in a multitude of counsel, there's safety. And so when you have that, you're able to get some feedback and accountability. And so those are some of the things that you benefit from being a part of a community. So I had a sound musician mentorship program, and that's available at shed.quamonfowler.com. And if you want to get on a Zoom with me and I get a chance to meet you, see what your goals are and everything, you can do that. Go to letsgetsound.com. All right. So I'm sorry. I know I was going deep into things and I kind of got distracted earlier, but I'm looking at these comments too because I wanted to implement some of the things that you all are saying, and it would be cool to do that. So let me see. What up, Hollis? He said finding the mentor that you can follow. Yep, that's what you were saying. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, back then. Yeah, finding the mentor, making a decision, and it'll take you to the next level. It's kind of like it's. I'm real big when I talk to my students or when I teach. Like I'm real good about observing something, whether it's sonically or whether it's teaching. Uh, and I'm really good about extracting principles from it. And I'm not just saying from the actual content, but I'm saying I got to give you an example. For instance, the principles. So let's say, for instance, when this is how I think when I transcribe. See what you listen to, you have to have a system to put the things in, your own process, so that when it comes to learning, you know how to appropriate things. It's like you're making sense of things as you hear it in your own framework or your own system to where it'll help you to make progress. Okay, so example, all right, and this will help y'all. Everybody, this will help you. So I was talking yesterday, and we're still on the subject of doing. Don't just be a hearer, but actually do. But how do you do? Because a lot of times people get intimidated because it's so much work. So you got to categorize or put labels on the things that need to be implemented or the things that you need to work on. So, for instance, it was 5 things I was saying yesterday to my group. You want to practice on your scales and arpeggios. That helps with dexterity. You want to practice transcribing. That helps build your language. You want to focus on transposing. That helps build your getting used to playing in different keys, playing the licks that you learn or transcribe. You can apply it to other keys, other combination of finger combinations and things like that. Then the fourth was to learn songs. That helps to build your repertoire. And then the 5th was to practice on learn the chords and learn how to play over those changes, the chord changes. So those were the 5 areas. And so when you think about it, when you hear music or you see somebody playing that you like, you're hearing the finished product, you're hearing technique, you're hearing their style, their concept, you're hearing years of experience, you're hearing a song, a context, a rhythm, harmony, melody, their sense of phrasing, everything is all wrapped up into that. And so for people who are not musical, they're not musically educated, they're taking in the whole of that, and it's appealing to their spirit, their soul, and their body. So it's like they're just enjoying the ride, the journey, the atmosphere. They're enjoying the experience. They're thinking about whatever is going on in their life, or they're just chilling. But for a musician, when we hear music, I'm processing it. I'm putting in what's that form, what's the, what the key. I can hear the key. I can hear the chord changes. I can hear the melody. I can hear the structure. I'm listening, and I because my brain is wired the way it is, I'm putting everything in these buckets. You know what I'm saying? And so because I have that perspective, this is how when I practice, I know where to go and what to do in order for me to make progress. And so I think that is what you get from even having a mentor or having a teacher, because maybe you don't have a process, or maybe your understanding is not that deep to where you're overwhelmed when you're hearing music and you don't know what to do to improve. So that's where you have to connect with a teacher who has a system and a process by way they go about learning and improving. And of course, if you like their fruit, you like the music they put out, you like the way they sound and everything, then their work shows the fruit of their understanding. And so the principle even there, we get it from God. We get it from Jesus. His reputation and what he did spoke for itself so much it was drawing crowds. But then you went close to look and people see if they can pick holes in what they, what he was doing and what he was about, and they asked him challenging questions. But the thing about it, those disciples who were with him from day in and day out, they got a chance to learn. But a lot of stuff they was learning, even at the time, went over their head. He had to die and then raise and come back and tell them and then leave and say, you'll get a lot of stuff you'll get later. The Holy Spirit will help you. Over time, you get it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. That's the thing. Even when I look back with a lot of the things that I learned, even from working with Mr. Baptiste, a lot of stuff at the time was going over my head, but I kept learning. I kept watching. I kept, playing on the gigs with him, just transcribing stuff. And then later, years later, stuff, as I mature, my understanding got better, then stuff started falling into place. And so that's the beauty you get from working with a mentor, having somebody who can teach you, because the seeds are planted. And even you just being around them, that apprenticeship model or the griot, you know what I'm saying, in African culture, the griot has all the history. It's an oral tradition, so they remember a lot of things, and a lot of things is transferred from one generation to the next by the next generation hanging out with the griot, or being that whole apprenticeship model, in the corporate setting where you go and work for a corporation, or volunteer for a corporation, or whatever. You kind of got to get in the environment, get around the people who are have the seniority and the experience, so you can just soak up what the protocol is. And then from you getting that experience and getting out on your own, you can just subconsciously, a lot of things is just kind of embedded in, then you can operate and be fruitful and everything. So anyway, I think that's some good insight just for y'all when it comes to being a doer and not just a hearer only. All right, so yeah, good stuff. I always, want to share some insights for you. Let me see. Be doers. Yep. Be doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And it says, if a man be a hearer and not a doer, he is like unto a man, that's right, beholding his natural face in a glass. This is popping up in my way. For he beholds himself and then goes his way and straight away and forgets. This thing keep popping up and forgets what manner of man he was. That's right. It's like you're seeing who you are, what you need to do, and then you walking away not doing anything about it. Like I can't stand that. I'm not about that. Oh, I hit this thing and it moved out the way. So, but yeah, I mean, it's about just continuing to improve and looking to make progress so you can continue to grow. He said, it's all good. I love hearing your wisdom. I appreciate you. RPJ Kingdom. He says, I've started repeating some of your comments to fellow musicians within my sphere of influence. Okay, excellent. That's what it's about. Duplication. That's what it's about. Duplication. Like everything that I'm saying is not anything new. It's just truth that I've applied, and that's the thing. You get wisdom, from you doing a particular thing or applying principles like over time, consistently, and you get experience from that. There's a difference between people who have textbook knowledge, who read a lot and study, people, uh, and culture and stuff like that. But then, if you have people who actually have experience, real life experience in certain areas and traveled and been in certain cultures, you're gonna have a little bit more. That person's gonna have a little bit more understanding, and that's very important. Like understanding, like Solomon, Proverbs, and all that. Get an understanding, you know. Uh, the fear of God is a beginning of wisdom, but also, and knowledge is good, but in all your getting, get an understanding to couple with knowledge, because you got people who can be knowledgeable and still be fools, can still be ignorant. So that's why you got to be careful with the people who putting out a lot of information just for the sake of putting out information. And I was even talking about musicians who have all of the mechanics, can go, technique and mechanics to be able to play the horn and get around, but then you don't feel anything. It's like you don't feel any meaning, or it doesn't connect, or you don't hear melody. You know what I'm saying? It's more so a technical display of their virtuosity, but they don't really have anything that really connects with your heart and soul. So that's a problem. They got the knowledge, but they don't have the soul. And so that's the thing. That's a problem too. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get understanding. And so, like I was teaching last night, one of the mentees was asking, like we was talking about enclosures. The enclosure. So that's an enclosure. But he asked, like, should I learn enclosures in all keys, or whatever? And I was like, really, I never did that. I didn't learn enclosures. I wasn't aware of the term until I was probably in my 30s. Yeah, until I was in my late 30s. So the language that I learned came from transcribing and just learning, being around the whole experience, playing jam sessions, hearing recordings, recording myself. So the language develops from you hearing melody. And I was telling him, when I saw Joshua Redmond in high school, I asked him a question, and I didn't know any better. I was like, after a concert at the Caravan of Dreams, at the end, I was like, man, what kind of scales were you playing in order to do that? To play like that? He was saying, it's not so much about scales, it's more so about melodies, and hearing melodies and connecting melodies. So I was like, oh, okay. Because I didn't have the knowledge at the end. At that time, I didn't understand. But now I do. Of course, you're going to learn scales. You're going to learn arpeggios. You're going to learn theory and how to develop the whole technique and the labels that are put on, learning jazz language. Just like how you do with learning English language. You got a subject, you got a predicate, you got, you have verbs and adverbs, adjectives and adjectives and all of these terms and stuff like that. But when you're talking, you're not thinking about any of those labels. And so what happens in an experience, you got people who are experiencing something that is just an experience. But then you have scholars or people who are fascinated with a particular culture or indigenous group of people, and they'll study, they'll go and, have their go out in the field and they'll record stuff, write stuff down from their perspective, and they will create labels and put it on them. Then they'll teach that and have theories about something that they have no experience in. And sadly, it's those people that will be responsible for the teaching materials and the curriculum and stuff like that, because they have created an artificial environment where they're taking things from an organic experience that people are having, but then they're crafting their labels and their perspectives because it's just two different worlds. You have a written tradition people are used to, and then you have an oral tradition people are used to. And it's not to say I'm not talking about motive. Motive is different. Like sometimes people can have ill motives and they don't have the right intentions. But what I'm talking about is like, we are a melting pot. God created us all. So there's different groups of people who are privy to different skills, resources, and perspectives, information, and all of that. So we can learn from each other. But the problem is when you try to take advantage or exploit people because they can't do stuff quick, or they don't have the resources that you do. But anyway, there's always something to learn. But all I'm saying is, you have different experiences when it comes to learning, and perspectives. Like when you're actually doing it, and you have real life results, then it's like you got more depth, you got more understanding than you do when you're learning just from a textbook, or you're just learning the technique. You know what I'm saying? You're going to hear the difference from somebody who has been playing real gigs or playing in different environments and absorbing the culture in those environments. You're going to hear it in their playing compared to somebody who's just studied from a distance in an artificial environment, hadn't really played with people who really have it, who are really organic or have authenticity. You know what I'm saying? You'll hear it. And so, but it's all a matter of how, what you've been exposed to and who you've been connected to. And it'll show up in your playing or your voice or for whatever you do. But anyway, this was a good one. I thank y'all for staying here with me and watching the stream. I appreciate you all. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already. And if you want to become a mentee with me for the sound musician, you can go to shed.quamonfowler.com. If you would like to get on a Zoom with me so I get a chance to meet you and kind of hear where you are and some of the goals that you're looking to accomplish, you can go to letsgetsound.com.